Balls. Water in your face.
She's not. Actually, she told me to go downstairs after I took a pee.
That's cat. Comment. People are weird. You don't like people.
A predator would probably want to take me before taking you because I'm smaller. Because. Okay, if you want to use that term.
Time for the latest installment of Change My Mind, where we rationalize our positions on controversial issues. This time, we set up shop at the Dallas Women's March to take on the topic of male privilege.
You're benefiting from white male privilege.
Your three boys have hit the American trifecta of privilege. They are white, straight males.
Yeah.
Women are sent off to college with rape whistles, while men are not. Women who have to take extra care walking down a street to be safe. You know, it's a sort of invasion of boundaries of women that men do not experience.
What can men do living here? Be better.
I'm not convinced, but what do you think? What defines privilege, and are males, particularly white males, in 2020 more privileged than anybody else? Let me know in the comments section. Now, I should note we did have a few disturbances, namely violent assaults from two transgender individuals. But you can see more on that if you click the video in the box above. On to our first productive conversation with a locked and loaded Amari. Men of quality support women's equality. All right. Your name is Omari.
That's right.
What's going to see your other sign?
Sure.
Your hate does not make America great.
That's right.
I think we both agree. No hate would make a country great.
That's right.
So that doesn't mean that anyone who votes for Donald Trump is hateful, does it?
That's true. It doesn't mean that.
Okay, good. All right. Because, a lot of these, that's why we sit down and do this, to try and cut through the sound bites and signage so we can actually have a conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you sitting down.
Well,
so I don't know how familiar you are with kind of what we do.
Not at all. But
okay.
I do.
So let me brief you with that.
But we did have this instance where
yes,
you were saying you don't have white privilege. There's a sign saying there's no such thing.
I think it's male privilege.
Right. Oh, sorry, I mixed them up. Does white privilege not exist also?
Well, today we're talking about male privilege, but do you think you have male privilege?
I do, actually.
Okay.
And I think they're the same, root cause, which is the people that have the most power.
So let's talk about that. So this is kind of what we do with the Change My Mind. The idea is to not be a bumper sticker slogan or just a sign. It's the opportunity to rationalize our positions on controversial topics.
Oh, okay.
I do not believe that male privilege is a thing.
Are you saying that you're?
So I gotta finish my point.
Sure,
here.
yeah.
I don't believe that male privilege, as it's presented, particularly from the ilk of folks who are here today, is a thing.
Okay.
I don't believe that we live in a rape culture. If you disagree with me, you are more than welcome to change my mind. So it seems we can start with male privilege.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, are you saying that this whole setup isn't to just prove you're right and prove the other side wrong and increase your viewership?
Well, I don't know. You present your argument, and we'll see.
Wait,
so I'll let you talk.
set everything up. So I mean, is that not the goal for you?
No, the goal is for everyone to see something that's unedited and not a cable news sparring match.
Okay, yeah.
So none of this will be edited. Everything that you say will 100% air.
All right.
And I won't interrupt you or cut you off.
Wow.
So you're more than welcome to change them.
All right. And it's
Crowder. No, Cooper was the other gentleman we spoke with.
Crowder.
I just said utter, like I'm a hello mother, hello father.
All right, Crowder.
So
let's do this.
Good.
I appreciate the candor too.
Oh, great.
The positive setup you got going on.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if that's sarcasm or not. I don't know.
No, not at all.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So
male privilege.
Let's
I don't
get
think
in there.
it's
Male privilege.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you got where you are and you've got this power, a woman could have done it, but it would have been a lot harder for her. So male privilege is this idea that your life is not, being a male doesn't mean you don't have difficulty or challenge. Sure. It just means that your gender is not one of the things making your life more challenging.
Okay. And that is exclusive to males.
I mean, there's all kinds of different privileges. But,
Okay.
But in terms of gender,
So there could be
males are-
female privilege as well.
No, not really. No,
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so then how would you, I guess, sort of substantiate that?
Substantiate.
Yeah, why?
Like,
What
so, like-
allows you to make the presupposition that my life inherently, as a male, is easier than a female, and that privilege only exists for males? See, that's where I have a disconnect.
All right. I mean, I could pull up some stats, but I mean, generally we know
free
that
to.
women make less money than men.
Really? Okay.
Women are the victims of rape and sexual violence at the hands of men much more often
Okay.
than the other way around.
Right.
And you kind of just go down the list of the ways that women get screwed over in our society, and that
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
By the way, you're making a great. I want you to continue. You're making a great case. So it was paid more,
yeah.
raped more
Right.
women.
Yeah.
And please, yeah, continue. But I just want to make sure I keep track of it. These are great. This is the whole point. I just want to hear what you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't looked at the whole list of just sort of, even just.
That's a good start.
It's something as simple as the lived experience of women.
Right.
Where my wife, she would have loved to have this conversation with you, but her job prevents her from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
She can't be on camera. But her experience is she walks down the street, and depending on the men that are there, she's objectified. She's turned into a sexual object
Right.
by a group of men who are saying, "Oh yeah, I want to do this and that to your body."
That's a really valid point. So,
Right.
walking down the street.
Yeah, just not feeling safe in your own skin or feeling like you can be a full human being. Whereas me,
Sure.
I don't have to worry what I wear when I walk out the house. I don't have to worry if I have a tank top that my
Right.
cleavage is showing and that I'm going to get unwanted attention.
point.
So that's Brownie. You're great. You're great. This is a.
Well, I'm sitting. I just want to listen first and hear you kind
Okay,
of
yeah.
Because I think maybe where we would agree is legally there are no recognized rights that men enjoy in 2020. I don't know if you do that. I still keep saying 2019.
Yeah, I
There are no legally recognized rights afforded to men in 2020, not afforded to women. So we would agree on that. You're talking more so societal sort of ramifications.
Well, and actually, I'm not sure about that. Women got the right to vote in 1920, so we're 100 years on from that, so they can vote.
Yeah.
But what other things are in there that, I'm not sure that legally there aren't biases against women still.
Yeah.
There may be, there may not be.
I don't think there are.
Okay. Well,
And that's what I'm saying. If you have some, I would be willing to
I
hear
don't
it.
have any, but I would be curious to look and see. So maybe, for example, if you this whole abortion thing,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a child and the child isn't healthy because you were taking drugs at the time because you're an addict or whatever, and then you get thrown in jail for child abuse. The woman's getting thrown in jail. The man who impregnated her is not getting thrown in jail. Maybe that's something to look at as far as a standard that impacts women
I'm sorry, I'm just a little
differently than it does men.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
do you mean that if a mother abuses her child and goes to jail, you believe the father should go to jail?
No, I'm saying in terms of prenatal drug use.
Okay.
You have a child born with some
Right.
or that's not healthy because
Because they were doing drugs.
they were doing
Yeah.
drugs or they just didn't get the right prenatal care and that's considered abuse. I'm not really sure. I'm just saying.
Well,
I
okay,
would
well,
look
I
into
just
the
wanna make
question,
sure that
because if we had this conversation 100 years ago and a day,
Yeah.
then it would be like, well, clearly women are legally not
Right.
don't have the same rights.
As far as voting.
Yeah, for example. But what other examples could there be that we don't pay attention to or aren't as pivotal as the right
Sure.
to vote?
So I want to make sure that I understand too. You brought up the idea of women are raped more often.
Yeah.
The idea that women are paid less, being able to walk down the street. And I just wanted to see where we find common ground. It sounds to me like today we probably agree that it's not really a legal issue as far as rights afforded. You're talking more about societal issues, which I think is a valid point.
Right.
I think it's sort of
Which is a
discredits the argument.
person-to-person issue, really.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we treat our neighbors and our friends or our people we don't know?
How do we treat our women?
Yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
really important.
Yep.
Before we get to those, I know you mentioned women getting the right to vote. How did that happen?
My understanding is that there was women suffragists who went out and marched just like we're doing now, so that women could cast a ballot.
Right. And like, was that most women?
That did that?
Yeah.
I don't think most women were out there, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not I wish I
I don't
were as good
understand.
at. Do you know? Or
Well, I'm
not a
questioning because
history
I don't
buff.
understand. Like you were saying that men obviously were in positions of power when you first sat
Oh
down.
yeah.
And if
Oh
that-
yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Congress is.
Well, hold on, I'm going back to
500
when they got the right to vote.
Okay.
So how does a woman cast a ballot to get the right to vote if she can't vote?
She has to agitate. She has to.
So who gave the right to vote? I guess is my question.
Who gave them the right to vote?
Who switched the law so that women could vote?
Well, the men in power must have decided
Okay.
that they should do that. Yeah.
Good for them. Progressive men at that point.
I don't know if I could pat them on the back. I mean, it should have been done. It should have been like the.
Well,
this
someone
is
had
how
to do
is.
it. Don't deserve a pat in the back
Well,
at all?
someone did not have to say that women were inferior in the first place to not be able to vote.
So that's why.
And those were the men that started it, and those men should have gave a problem.
Sure.
So we just did as men what we should have done in the first place.
Right.
So I don't know if we get any special kudos for.
Not we, but the men who passed.
That's what I don't know if they get any special kudos for doing what.
I think so.
men
I think
should
when
have done.
someone does something right,
I
they
think
should be praised for it.
I don't know about that. Because
No?
Yeah. Something right. You're righting a wrong.
Yeah, I
So-
think that people should be praised for doing that.
I'm not sure. I'm
It
not
sounds to
sure.
me like you're trying to right wrongs today of social justice, no?
Yeah, I am, but I don't want to be patted on the back for doing what I should be doing. I want to lift up the people that are being oppressed.
Sure.
And when they step up, and I'm supporting them, they deserve the credit for the change that they forced us to make on
Okay.
their behalf.
I agree.
Not that it's bad that these men
I think
signed
all
the
of them
right
deserve
laws.
the praise. I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think it's a good thing,
All
for
right.
example.
I
think people, I think the fact that, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation should have been done much longer before that.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think that at the
certainly,
time,
that's a good point.
I think that we should
appreciate
praise
Lincoln for
someone
that.
like that. Yeah.
I certainly appreciate it.
Well, those
But
are
again,
those are good points, though. Those
but
are good points.
again, even Lincoln, I don't say, oh, what a great man. If he didn't exist and he hadn't done that, I could still be in chains right now. So of course I
Right.
appreciate it, but I don't want to.
Or if you were born in Africa, you could still be in chains right now.
I suppose,
or the Middle East,
or
Qatar,
Europe, or I don't know, anywhere.
There's slavery all across the world.
This is true.
Yeah, it's
so,
terrible.
Point being, don't raise up this man because he used his privilege for good above the folks that, in the down, that were one down and rose up.
Yeah.
Put them first. Let's put the attention where it belongs. And the
we-
people who have fought for their rights and gotten their rights and pushed the more progressive among the oppressors.
Yeah.
to
Well, let me ask
do
you
the
this.
right
Let me
thing.
ask you this. What if, let's say Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Let's say Abraham Lincoln outlawed slavery, and let's say slaves themselves didn't want to be free. This is not the case. This is a hypothetical, right?
Where's this going? This is
Well,
going
I'm saying with
to
the
hell.
women's suffrage movement,
Okay.
wouldn't those people deserve to be praised if, for example, the overwhelming majority of women didn't want the right to vote? They were the ones advocating against it, not men. So wouldn't the men deserve the praise if they gave them the right to vote when women didn't want it?
I'm totally confused by this question.
The majority of women didn't want the right to vote. They
Is
were
that
against
so?
it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Do you know
I
why?
did not know that. No,
Yeah,
why?
the reason why was because they thought that it would actually increase their work burden, decrease their quality of life, and a lot of people don't know this, but when you had to vote, it was actually a privilege in the sense that you had to either be a landowner, you were eligible for the draft.
But why would
Bucket brigade? Are you
why?
a bucket brigade?
No.
That's where it's mandatory firefighting service,
So,
right? And so
answer me
women
this.
didn't want the right to vote, which is kind of interesting.
Wait,
a lot of
why-
people assume they did.
why do-
Men wanted women to
Why
have the right to
do
vote.
people fight so hard against these groups getting their rights to vote if it's such a burden?
And the point is they didn't. There wasn't a push to vote, and then when it came to a vote, most women didn't want it. It was the men who passed it. So would that change, assuming I'm not lying, would that change your opinion at all if men, even in the face of a majority of women not wanting the right to vote, said, you know what, it's the right thing to do, you should still have the right to vote? Do they deserve any praise? No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But I do think your points. I do think your points
This is really good because I need to learn about history, because I think that's very powerful that you're aware of these things and you can pull out these factoids that.
I think that's a factoid. That's pretty big. A factoid would be like, a black widow's venom is 15 times more potent than that of a diamondback rattlesnake. The fact that a majority of women didn't want the right to vote is kind of, we've been lied to at large.
Yeah.
If I'm not lying now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm definitely going to go look that up, and I appreciate, and I didn't mean to disparage your factoid.
No, I appreciate it.
This is
I'm a white male, I can take it. You can call me a piece of shit for all I care. I understand it. As far as the other points that you made, let's go back through them. The idea of women paid more.
All right. Oh, also,
Okay, well, then let me rattle off really quick. Right. Women aren't paid more for the same work. Women are actually not sexually abused or domestically abused more. And as far as the anecdotal idea that women can walk alone home at night, well, it wouldn't necessarily be the same for a 115-pound shrimpy man and a 180-pound female MMA fighter. So that's anecdotal. We can't really look at that statistically. But no, actually, men are raped more often when you include the prison population. And that does matter because men are convicted much more harshly for the exact same crimes as women. As far as the 77 cents on the dollar, if you believe that, I think you really should do a little bit more research, because all that does is compare the median income from women in the workforce to the median income of men in the workforce. It doesn't take into account hours worked. It doesn't take into account risk of labor. It doesn't take into account travel, time away from family. When you account for all of those facets, women actually, in most studies, make a little bit more than men, but exactly the same. So I think it's important that if we're going to have this conversation, and that's why I wanted you to sit down and speak, and I know some people came in hot, I think it does matter to speak the truth.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. You could drop the mic, Crowder. You just killed it.
Well, you said you were short for time, and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Thank you, Crowder.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Omari?
Yes, I'll say this.
That's one thing I will say as a white man. Stephen, such an uninteresting name.
Well,
something like Omari. I'll never forget your name, but I'll always forget Bob.
But Stephen, your resume is going to get more looks and more callbacks than mine because your name is regular.
Really?
Boring. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'd like to see the stats on that.
Oh, that you can look up.
My name was also associated with the first martyr, so my parents weren't necessarily destining me for greatness with that one. This is the first guy who was killed for Christ. Let's name our son after him. Yeah. I'm not thrilled about it.
Yeah, but I guess no, you definitely dropped a lot of points there that I don't have a response for. But I just say, as a man in my heart, I know that women out there are struggling under oppression all over this country, and the facts are the facts, but people can choose different facts, and I just know what I
don't think people can choose different facts. I think your first statement was correct. Facts are the facts. And I think that, yes, there are examples of male privilege for sure, but there are also examples of female privilege.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to recognize that there are privileges that go both ways. There is white privilege in the sense that there are certain advantages that white people would have, but there's also black privilege, that advantages that black people would have. There's male privilege in that certainly there's some biological advantages males enjoy. There's female privilege in that there are a lot of advantages females enjoy, but you don't believe that.
Advantage doesn't mean the same as privilege. Privilege is like an overarching pattern of preference and power in a society, and that's what you got, buddy.
That's what I got because I'm a white male?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't necessarily know that I agree with that.
I know you don't. And I don't try to change your mind.
I agree with it. But if you come back with some statistics, well, it's only up when you want to go. But I appreciate it, Omar. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
I appreciate keeping it civil.
Okay, yeah, for sure. 100%.
Be well. Stay safe.
Yeah, I hope we get to do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Sure. Okay. Thank you, Omari. Thank you very much, man. Well, that went swell. Remember, if you want these videos to continue, please do consider joining Mug Club at louderwithcredit.com/Mug Club. $69 annually for students, vets, active military. You get this wonderful hand-etched mug and a full daily show not available on YouTube, along with the Blaze TV's entire catalog. It is the only thing that allows these videos to continue. If not, that's fine. Enjoy the rest of the show. Bookmark this channel and check back for new videos every weekday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's get back to it.
Honey, look at this.
Male privilege is a myth. It's not a real thing as it's been
look how many eggs we got.
If you disagree, you're more than welcome to.
1 egg, 2 egg, 3 egg, 4, 4, 4. 4,
male
8,
privilege,
12.
as in that
16
men
eggs.
have more advantages than women do?
We have 16.
I mean, of course. I mean, sexism exists.
We're gonna get a couple.
in every,
That's like I think
tier
that's
of
like
our
3
society in
turtle
every
shell
way.
helmets right there.
In terms of
And I can get a
employment,
couple of
women
good
still get
turtles.
paid. For the
I just don't
same
have them
position,
yet.
Same work.
It's just something I don't
Because
have.
I just want to make sure we don't. As a cis white male, we've had some people who are upset. Can you define woman?
I think gender is more fluid than people who are more traditionalist.
And I also do
like
need
I
a
think
new XP
I am
farm. I
very
was thinking
for
about
trans
making an
rights and
XP
loving
farm and
trans
building
people
stuff up
and
around
wanting
it to
them
make
live
it
their fullest
worthwhile.
lives, like,
Because it's
safely.
not like other things.
I
You have to
define
super spawn
gender
proof it because
as
they're
what
guardians.
what
They
you,
spawn in certain
identify
environments.
with.
Although I will have to
How do
drain
you
out the
define
underneath
woman?
of this
I just wanna
thing,
make
which will be
sure I
the
understand.
interesting
Someone
part,
who
like
identifies
underneath of the
as
monument.
female.
Okay.
I mean, it's a complicated world. I can see how people who maybe from more traditional societies, like my parents are from Ethiopia, even though they're progressive, like politically and socially, it's certain things are kind of difficult to wrap your mind around, and that doesn't make you a bigot necessarily.
Sure.
But I'm very for trans rights.
So when you are talking about sexism or systemic advantages toward men not afforded to women, you are also including trans men to women.
Trans women have their own issues. I mean, trans people are beaten up, attacked, killed in the streets simply for being who they are. I mean, I am terrified for them, to be honest, particularly in communities that may not be as educated, may not have as much exposure to people like them.
Okay.
But
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't
Yeah.
overstep my bounds. So we are including trans male to females among women. Okay.
Yeah.
So continue as you were presenting the idea of systemic male privilege.
I think the whole idea that women have their role in the home and that they don't belong in the workforce, they don't belong in positions of leadership, I think that has been dismantled to a large extent.
Sure.
But there is very much still the idea of,
Do you think
women.
that's a good thing?
Of what?
The idea that women shouldn't necessarily be in the home.
I think the wave of feminism that I see and I understand that most young people around my age accept is that women can do whatever they want to do, and that's what I believe. If a woman wants to be a stay-at-home mom, great. If a woman wants to be a career woman and never get married, phenomenal. I think women should do what makes them happy. People should just do what makes them happy.
I would agree with all that, except
Yeah.
if she wants to be a career woman or not get married, phenomenal. I think it's her choice. I don't think it's a good one, and statistics would bear that out. But I agree. I think feminism, if I'm not mistaken, if we don't agree, is women making the choice.
I think
Tony, you hear my back there?
in general, if you're not
My back's
breaking any laws
go
or
crack,
hurting
crack.
anyone, you should do whatever you want.
You should be allowed to do what you want.
As long as, under those parameters.
Yeah. I agree with you. The
I
non-aggression
also
principle.
think, going back to the idea of like basic feminism,
Well, the idea is male privilege. So I guess
I think we need to talk about one more thing when we talk about the two genders and their relationship. We need to talk about race and feminism. A lot of the times, black women feel disheartened by mainstream feminism or what they call white feminism because the statistic they bring us a statistic about women make this number of cents to every dollar.
And black
but the
women make
fact-
even less.
Yes. So
and
I think
Hispanic women make less as well.
and Native American women. We always forget Native Americans.
Sorry.
No, that's not just on you. I think as a culture we do.
Sure.
But we have to always be cognizant of intersectionality when it comes to relationships between the genders.
It's a lot to keep track of. So let me, I guess, try and laser in on some points so we can find out where we agree or disagree. You talk about systemic discrimination and male privilege. That's kind of what obviously is the catalyst for this conversation. Can you point to any single right in 2020 afforded to a man not afforded to a woman? Before we get to societal, because I would agree with you, but legally speaking.
I think, as of today, this day and age,
Yeah.
but what you have to understand is that a lot of things on paper are set up a certain way for equality, but in practice, it's very different. It's kind of like, in theory, there's equality, but in practice, there's so many discrepancies. But glass ceiling still exists,
Okay,
and
so,
it
on,
will
so in
exist.
theory we have equality. What do you mean by that? As far as the law?
Because we have the law, but there are so many.
Okay, so the
There's so
law,
much
we're
specifics
equal
in-
under the law completely, but then in practice,
Yeah.
you're saying we're not. Okay.
And there are certain things that are different. Like, for example, men can be drafted, women won't be into the military.
That's female privilege.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. It depends on perspective. Women are not
Well,
allowed.
how does that depend on perspective?
Women.
Is that not a
wait.
privilege to not be
Well,
eligible
I
for the
mean,
draft?
some people want to be in the military, and that's, maybe.
Yeah, but women have the
and
choice. Men don't.
It's complex. For example,
It is not.
in Iraq,
I'm sorry.
women are not allowed.
No. That point is horrible. Kind just said, like, the point. Because, what's it called? Point of, like, being drafted into war, for example. Was what he was talking about, right? The guy, she brought up, like, not, like, females don't have to worry about it. So, technically, it is, like, a privilege you get as being a female. You physically cannot get drafted for a war, you know?
True. If it's like,
And it's like,
if
and the
you're
other lady,
16,
and then like the lady that was talking on, it's like, not necessarily, because then those ladies, it's saying like those, she said like, made the point like, those ladies could want to be in the military. And then he said the thing of, well, they get a choice. Those guys who get drafted, they don't have a choice, they have to, you know?
they have to, or they're gonna be a runaway from the police.
Right. It's illegal for them to violate it, and then they have legal issues, and they can get in big trouble for it.
That's kind of gay.
Right, it's just, and then her response to afterwards is complicated. It is not complicated. They have the choice, they don't. That is, you have the privilege to have the choice to do that. That is not a complicated thing. That could be summed up in very few words. And
To the
thus,
front lines of combat.
I don't know.
Sure.
Despite having all the
They're a
training,
reasonable person,
being
but that
decorated
I
officials
just
in the army.
that hurt my brain.
They are not allowed to, and also
You're
how do
also
you,
not allowed to talk back
in the army.
in Iraq. Saying
And
I'm
women-
saying there aren't equal rights in Iraq for women and men. We would both agree on that. I'm talking about
Yeah.
Western civilization, the United States. But it sounds to me
No,
like
no. I'm talking about in the Iraq
Danny,
War.
how'd you get this much today?
oh, women in the United States military not
Yes,
serving
in
the
the
front
Iraq War.
lines.
Yeah,
Okay, because they can now.
yeah. And then let's talk about.
And you see that as systemic discrimination, not allowing women in the front lines.
I mean, if they are just as
Society of
skilled
Desert's
in
now missing
combat,
a
if
good
they've
portion
completed
of
their
it.
training,
They're
if they
not.
are decorated
They're
officers.
far less skilled.
Look at my shovel durabilities.
We had to lower the PT requirements for women to make it
You
in.
had a mountain in the right to pull.
Women couldn't meet the same requirements
Alright.
that men did, so we lowered them.
Well,
Could upgrade
in
them
combat,
anyway, I
it's
just
not
don't
like
want to. There's
it's
no point.
with guns. It's with military-grade weapons, so it doesn't require the same amount
Okay,
of like.
we lowered the ruck times as far as how long you run with a pack on your back or carrying someone who's also in your platoon. We lowered the pull-ups, we lowered the push-ups, we lowered everything for female standards. And I mean, that's female privilege, right? Men had to meet a certain set of standards, and when women couldn't meet them, we lowered them. So I just think.
That's not female privilege.
Oh, okay.
That's promoting equality among the genders.
How is
and-
that promoting
off.
equality, though?
No, I lose the respect for this woman the more she talks. Cause like, you know, Tony, in the army, right, Tony, put that down, first of all, but in the army, you've gotta meet certain requirements, right, to join,
Yeah, like the physical requirements.
and they're lower for women, and she just said that it's not a privilege, like, and it's making it equal. Bitch, equality means things are the same. Equality means, like, they should have the same, like,
Equal
quality.
rights, equal fights.
Right. I guess that's decent. But
I mean, that's
It's-
what Luffy's saying. He likes punching women.
eh.
Anime character loves punching. A lot of anime men characters
Well.
love hitting women. Which I respect.
I think if you start a fight, regardless of gender, regardless of whatever the fuck you are, you could be a fucking child. You want to start a fight and genuinely think, no, if a baby wants to start, okay, that's a bit, like, that's, I'm just, no, like, that's, like, realistically, no, if a toddler does it, they're not in their right mind.
Yeah,
That's a different story.
But if
Like,
it's like
they're
a-
not,
if it's
they're
like
a fucking
twelve-
toddler, that's different.
If it's like a 12-year-old or something.
If you're of age to be smart enough to realize things,
Like
and you
10
want
to
to start a
12.
fight, and that's also, like, to the point, like, say, like, an 8-year-old, because they're smart enough to know what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, like they're not like,
I ain't gonna, like, just go beat the shit out of an
they're not
8-year-old.
like, let's throw this all around.
It's just, oh no, someone starts throwing that around, I'm fucking killing him. You could be a fucking toddler. You're dying. I am no, if it's a child, I'm punting him like a fucking football.
What if someone dumps this on there? If it's a literal infant?
Oh, I'm burning their whole family. Their whole entire family. Gone. I'll burn their whole fucking country down if I'm not a part of it.
Well, why won't you be a part of it?
So I don't know, so they're from Canada. I guess all of Canada's gone now.
Well,
Not my fault.
No, we both was Hitler.
Oh well. Shouldn't have touched a PC. Shouldn't have poured water over it. And first of all, you can't be a toddler and getting up here to do it, and I don't care. Toddler will die.
Fair.
Toddler,
probably helped him and
toddler shall die.
Oh, I thought you had your lights. I'm like, are you good survivors? I'm like, oh, you're awesome. So the thing, you're telling me this is basically the same setup as the other monument.
It's a bit bigger than the other one, actually.
I'm saying, but like in the middle, it makes me all up for the drown farm, or not the drown.
I've only drained this amount of it, which is a good portion of it, like stacks upon stacks of sand. But this wall took so much sand to make.
You did that.
And like, look at this hole. I don't like this person. I don't like
by allowing them to be involved directly in serving our country, giving women all the same opportunities. It's like, I think you're moving into the territory of affirmative action. That's what I sense here.
Well, no, what we were talking about was the draft, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because you said that's not a privilege for a woman to not be automatically eligible for the draft. Where we
it
both
is a
agree
privilege
that feminism
also,
should be a choice,
if it
right?
is also like an advantage. Like, if you have the requirements for something lowered for you for any reason, that is a privilege, or that's something unequal.
Because it ties to the idea, you know, of women's right.
Like, and I honestly feel like that's kind of fucking dumb. Because well, because to me it's like then you have people who aren't fit for, who may not be as fit for war, and that could fuck people, that could fuck things over. You know.
Wait,
I don't care if it's a woman or not, and it's a high failure rate. There's nothing stopping them from doing the things to make them capable of it. Like, they could put, if you really are interested in it, you could put in the work to get, like, you feel like strength requirements to, like, haul around heavy gear or whatever, right? Or, like, because, like, some of the thing is, like, carrying around, like, a heavy, like, rucksack that has a bunch of the gear that you would use. You can practice like that, and you can practice it on your own time and get better. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, you know?
Okay, did most women...
They had to fight for 80 years.
But they didn't.
There's nothing stopping them from becoming physically...
The majority of them didn't. Do you know why? Because of the draft. Because of bucket brigade. Because voting was not seen as just an inherent birthright no matter what. It came with certain sets of responsibilities. To allow women to vote who didn't want it, we removed those responsibilities.
I think when you are taught black is blue your entire life, you will believe black is blue. They were taught that women did not belong in, because of their voting, they may vote for women into office, and they did not believe that women belonged in positions of power and positions of leadership. They were brainwashed. That's being indoctrinated.
Okay. So the men who were brainwashing them to not be able to vote were the ones who overwhelmingly supported and got them the right to vote, even though women didn't want it.
Overwhelmingly supported the right to vote for women?
As far as people...
Who are the people who are oppressing women for centuries? Who are forcing them in arranged marriages, where they're raped and being forced to bear children that they didn't want, that they couldn't provide for? Women were oppressed since the beginning of time, except for maybe a few classical Greek societies. Women were oppressed in every corner of the world. The majority of men did not support the right to vote. The majority of men were trying to disenfranchise
actually,
the
in
suffrage
certain
movement
prehistoric
since it
times,
begun in the 1840s.
Rome and Greece didn't even give the right to vote to everyone.
Men were the
You had
ones
to have
who put
very, you had to
Susan
meet
B.
very
Anthony in
specific
jail
requirements
for trying to
before
register to vote.
How
to
do
be
laws
able to
get
have
passed?
the right to vote, and they also had slaves.
Through both houses of Congress.
Okay, and in order for it to pass,
But they
I
didn't
just want
have
to assume I don't
slaves.
know a whole lot.
That was part of the
Does it
time.
require a
That
majority
doesn't make it right, no.
to vote it in?
People just casually gloss it over, like,
And
oh, you know, they had them,
was that
you know,
majority
oh, well.
back
They
then
gloss over that
may
fact.
have comprised of men?
The slaves there weren't
Men,
treated
when
as
they were
bad,
facing the
but
pressure of a cultural shift, They did what was right.
Okay.
They had changes of hearts. They changed their perspective, and that was because of the tireless work of these men. Tried to disenfranchise them every step of the way.
That's not accurate. But let's move on to today, to 2020. Maybe we'll just disagree. I do have some sources here afterward, which will be interesting. Some kind of data on how many women wanted the right to vote. Again, provided that it came with the current set of responsibilities that voting did at the time. But we go back to today. We both agree there are no legally recognized rights afforded to men, not to women. But you mentioned systemic privilege or societal privilege. Mm-hmm. Could you give me some examples of that? So in 2020, what is male privilege?
Male privilege is not having to walk down the street and being afraid of being sexually harassed, of being catcalled, of being objectified, being treated as an object of sex and not a person with thoughts and feelings and dreams and goals and complexities. You don't have to walk down the street and feel afraid the way women do in certain parts of the country.
Some of us do. And some of us much more so than women.
And do you want to talk about other societies in the world?
No, I want to talk about the United States. Because I would totally agree with you with societies like you mentioned. I think you mentioned Ethiopia or India or Islamic countries. I would agree with you. Let's talk about,
Ethiopia is a Christian country, but...
Sure. No, I didn't say Ethiopia was an Islamic country, but I know Ethiopia, not necessarily the same kind of rights that we have here in the United States. And as a general rule across the entire Islamic world, women are not afforded the same rights as men. I think that's horrible. So for the record, I obviously think women should have the right to vote. But where we disagree is I do think it's a female privilege to not be forced into the draft. Now, I do take your point here where you talk about walking down the street. I mean, we just had someone assault us right here to try and steal the sign. It was actually a woman. So it does happen with men as well. Now, as far as sexual assault, I would agree. I hate the sexual objectification of women. That's why I have a problem with feminism. Because as I'm sure you know, women's liberation, the pornification of culture, it's been supported by most prominent feminists. And I've even seen women here supporting sex workers. So I think you and I would find common ground there.
I think as far as sex work, it's not something that I would want for myself or my family. But I think if it's two consenting adults, I don't see the point of criminalizing. I don't know if we should completely legalize it right now, but at least decriminalizing it. It may not be a fabulous life choice, but an adult has a right to, and oftentimes it's the conditions of people's lives.
And I don't know, because there's this thing, like, this lady is also, like, talking about, like, how sex work, now what I assume for sex work is, like, not, like, you know, going to a porn set to make money, like, prostitution, you know?
Yeah, like prostitution.
Now, prostitution has a lot of other things involved. Typically, now, I mean, it's not everything, but typically prostitution, there's drug use involved, maybe not by the prostitute themselves, but, you know, a lot of them, they get pimps for certain reasons or the other. Like, they have to deal with all of that, right? There's all of that to deal with. It's just, no. And also, let's not to mention that it can be
Just get it back to back.
That's a dangerous job, that type of job, you know?
Yeah, because like STDs, chlamydia.
Not even just that. Because there are some, like, where they're actually
Do
clean.
you remember, like, Lana Rose? She's trying to delete all of, like, Fort Leonard Kinson's voice. She's trying to delete all of the videos.
That's not gonna happen. People are gonna re-upload them.
The one saying that everyone should know on the internet. Once on the internet, always on the internet.
Right, did you fucking upload something? Well, necessarily no, because say some, like, small...
No, but I'm saying, like, stuff like that, though.
Right, if it gets big like that, and then you want to delete it all the
I'm talking about
time.
for, like, that Pornhub community, though. Like, that's what
That ain't disappear. Well, no, because, like, it could be some random guy's video that gets, like, no views, but then, because it violates a guideline, it gets taken down and no one downloads it, and there's no way to get it back.
Well, true,
And the guy who made it originally can't, like, re-upload it for whatever reason. Like, there are ways, but... but for something like that big, it is just not
yeah, that's what I meant, to, like, stuff like, people like that big. Once on the internet, always on the internet.
Right, you're not able... You could disappear off, like, the main websites, maybe. Like, they could, like, start taking any content, but also, no, that is bullshit. You can't do that because, oh, now you decide you don't want it anymore.
Because you want a kid. But then she's trying to educate people about good parenting.
Because you don't want it, because you regret it years later. You did it, you did the work. That's like you make artwork.
It's
like you make movies, like a movie, and you just like it afterwards, and you don't want your kids to see it because it's a horrible fucking movie. You don't have the right, then. Like, you don't have the right to just go tell that movie studio when you basically did work for them, for their company, like, to upload that. It's awkward comparison, but technically they both are movies in a sense.
Yeah,
One's a more special type of movie, I'd say, but
I mean, like,
they are
those are my favorite types of movies.
right, but technically they are movies, you know?
They're 100%
Now, should someone be able to, because, like, in an act like a regular movie, should be able to force a company to get rid of and delete a movie and, like, absolutely just, like, destroy all copies of its existence and everything.
No, you shouldn't be able to.
Because you no longer like it down the line. And I would love to have those same feminists who agree with, like, having all her stuff, or, like, even Mia Khalifa, who, that's a whole situation in
Wait,
itself.
what? Tell me? I don't know if this
Let's just say, like, they used, although it was a bit fucking scummy, even on, like, the Pornhub, or not Pornhub, but, because it was an M, but, like, the site she signed with.
Was it on X
Because she's, like, Arab Muslim or something, I don't know what it is, but they, like, I don't know if she's, like, Muslim or whatever, actually, but, like, they used, like, that she is, like, Middle Eastern looking and all of that, right? Because especially at her time, she was one of few, like, she was, like, from what I know, like, the first big one of her type, of, you know, Middle Eastern people, to get involved in that type of industry. And so she gained traction for those reasons. And then, like, now she doesn't like it, and she wants her content to get removed off the site.
Why don't you just use sponges and make it a lot easier?
Well, I could, but sand's more fun. And either way, and then you've got to, like, I've got to get a hoe fast enough to break it out. It's annoying.
Wait, don't you have a little
And in order to get a mass supply,
don't you have a mom?
And the best way to...
Why do fish constantly like to get in your way when you're doing this?
Well, there are ways to put sand over top of them and suffocate them.
Fish are annoying in Minecraft.
That's what people understand.
I don't want to get. It's just we were talking about sexual objectification. I'm saying we agree on that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you on the idea of walking home and not being fearful. First off, I think every woman should have their head in a swivel, and I think every man should. And yeah, I do think that men commit a significant amount, a majority of the violent crime in this country, but it's also perpetrated against men. In other words, if we're both walking down the street at night, I am more likely to be violently attacked than you are.
I'm talking more about, like, sexual assaults, abductions, things like that. A predator would probably want to take me, but we're taking you because I'm smaller. Because... Okay, if you want to use that term.
Oh, what term would you use?
I mean, you don't... Anyway, that's besides the point. Also...
Physically, I'm stronger and you're physically weaker. That's what I'm saying. In other words, for the same reason that I would try and help you if someone were physically assaulting you because I'm stronger than you.
Yeah. And someone could drag me into a van a lot easier than they could drag you into a van.
Yeah, it'd be harder to drag my fat ass into a van.
But...
That being said, men are the victims of violent crimes more than women.
What about slut shaming?
Okay, well, I guess let's just switch topics. What about slut shaming?
What about promiscuity and how women are...
I mean, just like the idea now that Tony...
having sexuality.
A lot of those porn stars who they regret their content being up. Like, I know for Mia Khalifa, like, she had her family, like, not, like, they kind of disowned her for a while because of the videos, you know. But she knew that was going to happen if those videos got big and, like, they found out about them, you know. Like, she knew that from going in and all
at
that.
that point, you might as well just...
So you can't use that as a crutch to get them deleted. And you can't use that now that you don't like them all of a sudden. You agreed to work for them. Like, I believe in that industry you do have to sign contracts. Like how movies, they have people on contract. Like, so that way, like, you have someone on a contract for a set amount of time, so that way you can finish. They can't just leave mid-season, or if they do leave mid-season, you can sue them.
And I will admit, it's women who slut shame women a lot.
Yeah, women are actually, as a matter of fact, this is kind of interesting where you talked about...
That's like 7 whole levels.
Do you actually know that women, when they've conducted these studies, and they have these sources for you, they did...
I'm collecting a few right now,
very specific with online dating, but in general, women grade men far more harshly on physical
But look,
traits
it's
than
not
men grade
moving.
women. Men grade women on a bell curve,
But-
and actually are far more
For
forgiving.
example-
Women are far harsher in their
Was I watching a video with
I
you where it
think
says
that's
you shouldn't go
false.
much past level
That is
30 because it's
on
not
its
worth
face,
it?
Absolutely, unequivocally a lie.
Look how much that
Women
moved the
are
bar.
judged based on their looks
That
way
barely
more.
did
I
anything.
mean,
That's like
douchey
one of
young
the
guys
highest ones,
see
like, if you
women walk by and go, oh,
Guardians
she's a
of the
9, oh, she's a 7.
No,
oh,
because
that
I was
person's
watching a video with
highly-
Alex. It's like, oh, you shouldn't go above yada yada, like level much above level 30 as it gets
I
exponentially
really-
bigger,
I
you know?
really resent the notion
And I just joked to Alex like,
I can't
oh,
accept.
I'm not supposed to go above level 30.
but women
Maybe we shot
are-
that one a little bit.
Going back to the 10
I mean,
scale,
like, the thing you
women
did,
are
like, you made Arnold Parker
judged on the 1 to 10 scale a lot more than men are. I don't walk by and go through
Well,
and
that's
go,
anecdotal. I'm talking about.
that guy is a 7. Oh, he's not out of my league. Let me go talk to him. That's not how women approach
So
men.
would you-
Women are judged based on their looks a lot more. Women are called ugly. Women are called... Okay, can I give you an example? Specifically what I'm talking about? This is from the 90s. This is from the OJ trial. Every day, the press would criticize Marsha Clark's, she has no fashion, she has ugly hair, she looks frazzled with her horrible curly hair. And they never go, oh, OJ, what an ugly tie he was wearing. Oh, Johnny Cochran. Oh, he bought his suit at Goodwill. Like, no one would say that.
Actually, I think of everyone involved with the OJ trial, the one most remembered for crazy suits was Johnny Cochran. He's the one who was
No,
trying
but
to
he was not criticized every single day and attacked for her looks the way Marsha Clark was attacked. People were calling her unattractive. People were saying she had no sense of style, like I said about her hair. They were not getting that. People would be like, oh, wow, that suit is kind of out there.
And so this is an example of male privilege to you.
Yes, because they wouldn't be like, oh, he's ugly, he's unappealing because of his looks. And also, can I make another...
I'm sorry, I don't want to get into... No, I want to move on because I've been called ugly so many times and rightfully so. Rightfully so. So it's the idea, the anecdotal is what we want to deal in here.
People didn't teach you that your looks... First of all, you're not ugly by any means. Second of all...
Neither are you.
Thank you.
And by the way, my wife there is out of my league, and so would you be if I were a single male. I have no problem with that.
No, she's not, because no human being is better than anybody else.
They are in certain facets.
I'm sure
she's far more physically attractive than I am.
I'm sure she is beautiful, but she's not better than you because she's beautiful.
She's more beautiful than I am.
But she didn't... I don't know if that's true, but
more people want to have sex with her than me.
Can I bring up another point that's a little bit unrelated, but it's related to Marsha Clark and the OJ trial? People call powerful women bitches. They're like, oh, she's bossy. Oh, she's a bitch whenever she has strong views. But if a man were to conduct himself in the same way and give off the same demeanor, they'd be like, oh, wow, what a strong, powerful man. He's really getting it done. He's really sticking it to them.
Yeah,
But
I don't agree.
women are taught, oh, she's bossy. She's a bitch. She needs to stay in her place. She needs to, or
I think
for
anyone
example,
who's overly bossy
when
to an
women
annoying
have
degree
a
needs to
serious
fucking
face.
stay in their
Oh, you
place and
should
shut the fuck
smile
up.
more, honey.
Yes,
Smile
I think
more,
women should
darling.
smile more.
I mean, I think everyone should smile more.
Can I express
But-
it? Because we've gotten completely off the statistics.
Oh,
so let me-
don't tell me to
this is
smile
personal,
while
so
I
let's
can
have a
kill
quick
you.
conversation.
I smile when I want to.
Because I just had this discussion not that long ago.
No, I don't
with
like
a female
smiling.
relative.
No.
Okay.
Nah.
A man
Pointless.
is physically attracted.
That displays happiness.
And
And if I'm not feeling an emotion of happiness, even if it's like it doesn't mean I'm not feeling an emotion, of sadness. I'm feeling an emotion of neutrality. Like I feel nothing. It sounds bad, but there are times like I don't know what you describe it like it's a neutral emotion. Like you're not happy, you're not sad.
People call Hillary
You're just neutral. Nothing.
I'm sorry,
There's
I'm sorry.
nothing.
I don't want to be
You
accused of
have
male
no
privilege, but
feeling.
you are speaking very long. I do want to make my
No
point.
feeling like happy,
So men are
sad,
physically
mad,
attracted
fucking
to
disappointed.
tenderness and warmth from a woman.
Right now, I'm a
A
bit
smiling woman
listen to those
is
people.
biologically more attractive to a man than a frowning woman. Now let me tell you why. Because men live particularly to please their wives and women. Now, hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
And so to us, it is attractive to see our wife or to see the woman that we love smiling. A man, and I'm sure if you've been in a relation for any period of time, right? How often do you get the, are you okay, sweetie? Are you happy?
I've
You
never
seem
been in
like
a
you're-
relationship, but
Okay,
yeah.
well this happens a lot. It's often a point of conflict for my wife and I. Ramon, did I do, are you okay? Are you happy? A man saying, hey, it's attractive for a woman to smile more is the equivalent to a woman saying it's attractive for a man to listen more.
Okay, I'm gonna respond to that.
Okay.
the whole notion of like telling women to smile transcends relationships. It's even down the street. Men come up to women and go, "Oh, hey, honey, hey, sweetheart, smile more, smile," and it's a very like condescending.
Who takes the time of Tony? Who takes the time out of their day to go walk to some random fucking bitch and just say, "Oh, hey, you should smile more"? And maybe it's something like 50s, early times, or things like that were actually an issue, you know? Maybe then you could make that argument. But no one today cares enough to go walk down to some random person in the street because they aren't smiling and say, "Oh, you should smile more."
Like, and how's that? That's
Overwhelming majority of people don't even enjoy interacting with people they don't know, regardless of what faction.
Someone says this is gonna be my face.
Right. No, I have never seen that happen. Never.
I've never even seen. I'm like an introvert. Like I'm getting more introverted.
I am sorry. That is. I don't know. Maybe it's because we don't live in a large city, and maybe it happens more there. But like,
It's
what
very
the?
much-
No.
But even like
If a stranger came up and said, "Hey, sugar baby, smile more," I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, that's kind of crappy."
This man sells good stuff. He sells
No,
gun
I wouldn't be
powder.
offended. I wouldn't be offended, but I understand it's symptomatic of the culture of patronizing women, of treating women
Take a couple
differently than you would
emeralds.
treat men in that way.
You shouldn't.
And that,
Couple
if that
emeralds.
makes sense.
But you just supported lowering the PT requirements in the military so women can
Couple
survive
emeralds.
because they're weak.
Oh no, he can't keep a change. I'm paying.
Is that patronizing or is that
There's no
equality?
change here.
Because I'm confused.
That's equality.
Ooh, glowstone.
Okay, so saying women you can't do as many push-ups or pull-ups, or you can't do the 16-mile run. I don't know what the PT requirements are. It may be different. You can't do it as well
What?
as men, so we're going to
How?
lower it so that you can join the military. That's equality.
Can I say something
But
about the
saying smile
military
more is kind of-
again too?
I think the
For
XP is
example, if
pushing
you look
him.
at,
All that XP
there's not
at
just
one
one
time.
general of the military, just how expansive the military is. There are several.
Bro, look at this.
Even one.
Look how
And the
much
general is not doing. They're
ink
older
sacs are
men.
in the
They're not
water.
doing physical physically like strenuous workouts. It's mostly administrative, and they don't let women do even like the desk jobs.
Yeah.
If that makes
That's
sense.
incorrect. Do you have any military in your family?
made him rich.
No.
Okay. Well, I grew up in a military family. That's not correct at all. It's not a general's job. Is not at all administrative. Frankly, I would
But
say
they
that's a
don't
bit of
do-
female privilege because you're kind of glib on that topic. It's an incredibly intellectually strenuous and emotionally
I'm
strenuous.
sure. I'm not saying they're
because you
not
have to
done by any means. It's
Yeah.
military science. I'm sure is complex. I'm sure they're very intelligent.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's not a physical job as much as the guys in the lower. You can't tell me it's just as physical as the guy who are on the ground
No, it's
running
not
in
just as
Iraq.
physical, but men are more suited to it, and that's why they tend to be generals. more.
Why are men more suited to it?
Well, there are two reasons. You just said that they're older men, and yes, I don't know if you know
They're
how
typically older. Yeah, I've
Do you know
seen
how
them
long
at
it
the State
takes
of
to
the
become a
Union.
general?
Decades, probably. I
Yes,
don't know.
exactly. So that would go back to men being in the military longer than women, certainly in those positions. And yeah, listen,
But I'm
this
sure
is,
if there's
thi-
like, if
okay.
there are military, like for example, the McCains are like military royalty.
Sure.
I'm sure it'd be much easier for them to get that than like a bub off the street.
That may be so. I think, but I do appreciate. I think we have some other people that want to sit down.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
I do appreciate.
I loved it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you guys.
Keep your head in the swivel and stay safe too. There's some riffraff around here. I was waiting. It had been a long time since I spoke with him.
Good
David?
cigar weather?
It is. It's perfect cigar weather. It's beautiful outside.
All right.
So
yeah.
apparently you had some insights. You wanted to sit down and talk. I don't know how familiar you are with what this segment is with Change My Mind that we do. It's basically ideas, not a cable news edited sort of talking point gotcha match.
Okay, I
Everything
like
is
that.
completely unedited, where we can rationalize our positions on controversial topics. Obviously, you've seen today the Women's March. A lot of people talking about rape culture, male privilege. So male privilege, as they've described it, not a thing, in my opinion. And
So
if you
Tony.
disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Tony.
Okay. Yeah, I
Tony.
would say
Tony.
I disagree in the sense
Tony.
that I do think male privilege
Tony, stop first
is
of all.
real.
So
in
I
the
bought
sense that
everything all off
biologically
of that guy, and
speaking,
look how much my
men
XP
are
bar
born
is.
inherently
Tony, I bought
stronger, they have
everything
higher
from that guy.
testosterone
I
levels,
sold out that
so
one
they're
trader.
able
Look how
to
much my
protect
XP
themselves
bar is.
physically a lot more than a woman who might be untrained in a martial art or something.
Yeah.
And in that sense, they have an inherent strength
Yeah, they're in
advantage
the bar.
when it comes to protecting themselves, such as walking around the streets late at night.
Yeah.
And in that sense, they do have a certain privilege.
Yeah, I would say that's an advantage, a biological advantage.
Right.
And I'm sick and tired of this fucking debate. Men need to respect women, period.
So you should respect women.
I am a woman. I just became a woman. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Hundreds of people in downtown Dallas today for the 4th annual Women's March.
Going on now in our national government, we're going back to the 50s.
I mean, there's other methods of showing up, like voting and stuff, that I feel like would make even like more of a difference, but
the Dallas Women's March and marches all over the country and all over internationally are not about Trump.
Donald Trump has got to go!
4 years in, the Women's March target hasn't changed.
Ah, the 4th annual Women's March.
Day. 1, 2, 3.
Abortion!
Woo!
1, 2, 3, 4. Patriarchy has got to go!
This year in Dallas, Texas, we set up the
2, 3.
Abortion!
Woo!
1, 2, 3, 4. Patriarchy has got to go!
This year in Dallas, Texas, we set up the Change My Mind table. And some of the crew even joined in the march.
excuse me, we're leading the march. You need to get out of the way. You need to get out of the way.
Oh,
Hello, ladies.
No, debate is a trap.
I found talking with delusional people doesn't actually change minds.
How does it feel to be a piece of shit?
Now, to be clear, we did have some great rational sit-down conversations, and we'll be airing some more of those Wednesday. But before that, I'd like to draw your attention to the felony assaults committed, starting with this. Z.
Would you like to come sit down? No. Nope.
Oh, this guy, that's a dick move, but I love it. Tony. Transgender woman came up and tried to steal the guy's sign, right? And so, you know, he's like, real beautiful and brave woman as he's walking, she is walking away on that. It's just, it's a dick move, right? You know, it would piss someone off, but like, they deserve it. You know, you can't just go up and steal someone's freedom of speech. You can't just, Tony, because something pisses you off does not give you the right to go up like a sign. Pisses you off does not give you the right to go up and take something away from somebody because it pisses you off. You don't have the right to take it.
Would you like to come sit down? No.
Capture the flag, sweetheart!
Oh,
Glad that's over. Now we can get back to civil, rational conversations devoid of any future felony assaults, right? Right.
A woman who is told, if you're assaulted, please go to the authorities, they will handle it. And then someone in a privilege of power, let's say a cop or an attorney or whatever, they ask the question, well, what were you wearing that night? That permeates.
Which is bullshit.
It is bullshit.
I'm so sorry. And you think rape culture is a fucking
Can you just wait? We'll have a conversation afterwards.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
conversation that you had. Rape is fucking serious. Rape has happened to me 4 fucking times, and I'm sick and tired of this fucking debate. Men.
Who's Tony? Come here. Tony, come here. Come here. Now. Who the fuck is raping this cunt? Who is down so bad?
My uncle?
No. True, but who's no one is down that bad. No one is down that bad. You don't know.
No, the totem is. Your totem is.
Maybe.
It may.
need to respect women. Period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry, I am a woman. So fuck you. If you don't think so, I don't really have time for this. And I don't have time.
My mistake.
You're going to let me speak because here's my truth. I've been raped 4 times. I've known women that have been...
Even 4 times. Maybe that could be true, but I feel like I'm being a dick, but I can't. It's funny. Tony. It is hilarious.
Been raped multiple times gruesomely, and how dare you sit up here and try to say that women aren't worth respect? Fuck you.
I didn't say that.
I am a woman. I just became a woman. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? People don't even respect me. Period. And I'm already black, so it's just like, yeah, that already goes against me anyways. But still. You piece of living garbage ass dumpster fire. Dumpster fire! Trash gum on the bottom of my shoe. Oh my God, I wish I had a tissue for the blood. I would.
Sure. Might I suggest it's your behavior, not because you're black.